Now, in the last part, I talked about how I like to bring my leg up, hold it in different positions, for 3 to 5 seconds or whatever the case may be. I mean, you don't have to get crazy about it. I know you see these things, especially, where you see people, standing on one leg like this, holding whatever, for long periods of time. You don't really need to do that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying it's really not as necessary as people think. If you can do it, great. If you can't, and you can only hold it for 3 to 5 seconds, that's fine too, because remember, in a real fight, when my leg comes off the ground, from the time it lifts to the time I hit, to the time I place it somewhere else, it's happening in a microsecond. I'm not trying to give you 3 to 5 seconds. I'm just trying to develop myself. So the other thing I like to do is 2 exercises, well, 3 really. And I like to do the brilliant exercise by Grandmaster Perkins on what he called puppeteering. Whereas I imagine I have a string attached to my hand and to my toe, and as I pull on the string, I'm going to lift the foot and coordinate it, and coordinate these motions. And what I'm doing is I'm coordinating and training my hands and feet to be able to work together, so that if I need to lift and hit at the same time, I can do it effectively, because I've already developed the neural pathways to be able to do it. It's actually harder doing this than it is to just do something like this, right? Then I go back and forth, I make circles, I just kind of play around with it. But I also make sure I alternate hands and feet to develop this coordination. And people say, well, why would you want that coordination? And so that if I have to slap somebody in the side of the head and kick them at the same time to make sure they don't run out of the way, because I want to slap them in the side of the head, I don't want them to go this way and get out of the way. So I'll do this at the same time to prevent that. So you could train yourself to do it. One of the things, and I kind of laugh, that Grandmaster Perkins used to do is where he would get close to people and throw an elbow, but he would bring his other leg up and kick you from behind. So he'd be like this, and you're like, what the hell? And the reason it always worked was because he would kick you, you lose balance, and then he elbows you in the chest. So, he was very careful not to hit people in the head, because he didn't want to have a homicide on his hands. I mean, having been a homicide detective, you kind of know how that's going to go down for you. But the point is, because he would do these kind of things, this kind of motion was very, very easy for him to do. One of the other ones I like to do is, kind of figure 8 and just play around with it. The idea behind it is the more creative you can be with that stuff, the more you're going to be able to learn how to do. From there, I do just basically like some neural programming stuff to increase speed. And one of the things I do is start off with the puppeteer in the same way. Like, it's going to be a quick pull. And what I'm going to do is, as I pull, what's going to happen is, as fast as I can move my hand, I'm trying to coordinate lifting the foot off the ground as fast as I can. Lifting the foot, lifting the foot. And all I'm doing is training myself so that if I have to go from one position to the next, I don't have to set up, in a cat stance or whatever, or get into a perfect stance to be able to do something, because in a real situation, you don't always have the ability to get into a perfect stance. I mean, that's one of the other limitations I find with a lot of martial arts systems, where everything, because of the way it's trained, is set up where if I want to do a side kick, I got to be in the perfect position. If I want to do a hook kick, I got to be in the perfect position. If I want to throw a certain punch, I got to be in the perfect position. The problem is, it's never perfect, because again, unless you get the drop on the other guy, the other guy gets a vote in a fight, he probably doesn't want to get hit either. So as you're practicing these skills, you're also training yourself to be able to transition within the skills dealing with another person. Last one I'll show you kind of in this section is what we call the hacky sack. So it's similar to using like one of those little hacky sacks, only we're now touching with the feet. So I pick the leg up, and I usually just start off same hand, same foot, kind of on the instep or the toe, just to make life easy. Then I start crossing over and doing the same thing. And you want to feel your torso kind of move with it, because what you're also using is your upper body as a counterweight, especially when you start getting to some of these other positions, or you're getting a little more exotic. And the idea behind it is to get yourself to the point where you can lift your feet up and get multiple touches, repositioning your body, rotating around your center of gravity as you're doing the hacky sack, to learn how to control your equilibrium. Why is that important? So that if I'm in here kicking and punching, my body already knows how to move to reposition itself using my upper body as kind of counterweight to be able to coordinate my movement as best as possible. So those are kind of some of the things I do. I mean, there's other stuff I do, but what I'm showing is the most fundamental stuff that you want to be able to do to be able to move the way you want to be able to move.